Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has returned from US and Egypt, and this morning Home Minister Amit Shah briefed him about the evolving situation in Manipur. This after Chief Minister Biren Singh met Home Minister Amit Shah yesterday, and on Saturday there was an all-party meeting where all the opposition parties, some 18 of them, said that there is a need for a presidential rule in Manipur, and there should be an all-party delegation that should be sent to the state. In fact, Amit Shah said that there have been no reports of any killings since June 13th, but the situation on the ground is very, very sensitive. Say, for example, on Sunday, there were reports that the army had to release some 12 militants of the KYKL group after a mob of 1,200 people led by women stopped the armed forces from carrying out the combing operations. So what is the reality, or what is the real situation in Manipur on the ground? I'm joined by a very special person. She's one of the most renowned activists and humanitarians of Manipur, Binalakshmi Nepram. Welcome you on the Federal, Bina. And my first question to you is that, are you really safe from wherever you are speaking to me? That's my first question really to you.
Nilu, 3.3 million people in Manipur. Each one of these, it's like a war zone now. No one is safe. No one is safe in Manipur right now. And we have not been safe, not just in the last couple of weeks, but we have been living under a martial law since the 1980s in the valley, and there has been over 1,500 cases of extrajudicial execution. So no one in Manipur is safe, Nilu. We are living, our lives doesn't seem to matter in the country. So this is the reality, Nilu. It's very tragic, but that's why we have been appealing for a long, long time to the people of the country, to the policymakers to understand. And only the 3rd of May, violence seems to have wakened the public up. And I hope it'll continue to awaken 1.3 billion Indians to know what is happening in one of the farthest, remotest corner of our nation.
But Bina, are you saying that this is some kind of a new awakening which has come in Manipur, and people have suddenly realized that, things are going out of hand? Or was this kind of a rebellion or a revolt visible earlier also?
Nilu, that's why we have to understand the history of Manipur and northeast of India. And we have been trying since the last 10 years to get the government of India to include the history of Manipur and northeast of India in the Indian syllabus. I am a historian by training. And yet I was shocked after 5 years of studying history, Indian history, not a single chapter on the entire 45 million citizens of India has been completely blanked out from the reason I say this is because the situation of what's happening in India is, has roots in what you talked about is a rebellion new. The rebellion is not new, Nilu. If you allow me a couple of minutes, let me explain for you first. The northeast of India, which the whole country doesn't know because of the way in which the history have been blanked out, the culture, the traditions. You enjoy an occasional Ras Leela or an occasional Ratan Thiam theater in IIC. But beyond that, nobody ever cared to understand what's happening. But Manipur was a very old Asiatic nation state, like Bhutan and Nepal. We had 74 lines of kings, including the current one, which is now a Rajya Sabha MP. And then we had 74 lines of unprecedented rule over the years. And we had, we had our own constitution. We had our own council of ministers. We had our own adult franchise. And the Manipuri Puyas, which are all indigenous manuscripts, which looked at war, conflict, peace, science, astrology. We were a very, very beautiful Asiatic nation state. In 1891, Britain took us under their control in 1891. It was the last so-called Indian kingdom to be annexed to the Indian Empire, the British India Empire. And then when the British left in 1947, Manipur was independent till about 1949. And in 1949, Sardar Patel's men met the king, signed a merger agreement, which many constitutional experts say is null and void because it was signed under duress. Because the king did not represent the head at the time, because Manipur had an adult franchise. We had the Manipur Constitution Act of 1947. And then under that, election was held, and we had a chief minister and a council of ministers. So the king, even if he signed the merger agreement, so that's the origin of the political, for us, that is history, we have to look ahead. Manipuris are not saying we look back. Manipuris are saying, we are now under India, then let us do good governance, right? Since 1949, since the Union of India, joining the Union of India, Indian government had done good governance, the situation would have been out of control. So in 1949, till about 1958, when the first martial law was imposed in the northeast of India, we were proactively ruled by like a military control, right? Where our representatives became like puppets. So 1950s, 60s, and 70s, 30 precious years went by. And then no resolution. As a result, what has happened is a Naga insurgency started in the 60s, if you remember, like rejuvenation, right? And then the Mizo insurgency started in 1960s also. Then the Assamese followed in 1970s. So from the 40s to the 70s, there were like 4, 5 armed groups. But Linu, what happened was many of these armed groups, we call the word underground. That means we never saw them, Nilu. It's important for your viewers to realize this. The insurgents were there, but they will do only military targets. So they will target, say, whatever military target, because it's a war. But they always never lived in Manipur. They were in the borders, like Myanmar or Bangladesh, wherever they are. We never see them, because it was not like wherever they could be shot dead because of martial law. But 3rd of May, what is very interesting is armed groups, who are in suspension of operation, took part in so-called peace rallies carrying AK-47. This has never, ever happened in the history of Manipur before. And it happened also on Sunday itself, where at a so-called a rally just for remembering the victims, they came out with guns and with camouflage, dresses also again. So this is something, Nilu, we have to really understand. Why are we allowing as a nation armed men with weapons to start like as if they are another soldier patrolling? Why is the Indian army not doing anything about that? You see, so our main point is, Nilu, yes, there is a historical root to why this conflict happened, but I also put the square bam only on New Delhi, the Indian government, and the Indian policy makers, and those who are framing the security paradigm of India. Why are you allowing this? Because what has happened is so Nilu, from 1940s to
Allow
about—
me to interrupt you. You are saying that why is the government allowing this? Are you
Yes.
saying that this situation, this current violence which we are seeing in Manipur, has it been orchestrated just because the government was a silent spectator to whatever was happening, or it was allowing to happen? How does one understand really?
Yes, Nilu, you have answered it yourself. The reason is, for 53 days now, the silence of the Prime Minister is evidence for us that something is being engineered to make two communities, the Kukis and the Meiteis, have never fought with each other in the history of our state. There have been Kuki-Naga clash in 1992-93. There have been Paite clash, Zomi clash. There have been clash of Meitei Pangal, but never between two communities. The Kukis and the Meitei actually, when the Kuki-Naga clash happened in it was the Manipuri people in the valley who actually gave shelter to many of them in the valley. So they have been a very close, and I have very close Kuki friends and Kuki teachers that I've been, and I work very closely with Kuki mothers and Kuki women who are survivors of gun violence. So this is the first time that we are seeing a sort of a wedge created between. As a result, that is what I'm saying. How come the Prime Minister is silent? His silence shows he's complicit to the violence which is happening. And India, with a growing economy, India with its 4th largest military in the world, how come the Delhi riots was brought down in 11 days? How come the Gujarat riots was brought down in 3 days? And why are you letting Manipur burn for the last 53 days? So for us, Nilu, this is not a conflict between Kukis and Meiteis. This is an engineered conflict. Remember, next year is general elections. What does it? We have the question that if you ask National Security Advisor, Mr. Doval, and the National Security Advisory Board, is what are they advising Mr. Amit Shah, our Honorable Home Minister? What are they advising Prime Minister that they have not been able to subdue? Or is it deliberate on their part to let the Kukis and the Meiteis kill each other? Who benefits when we kill each other? Who benefits? If you think that the Indian government benefits for them, it's time that they stop this engineering, because, you know, Nilu, if Manipur breaks, Manipur is the last Indian state protecting the Eastern India borders. If this was Pakistan, I think the entire country would be up in arms, Nilu. There have been attempts to take away land of Indian nation along Manipur. It was the Manipuris who ensured that the borders are protected. Let me tell you, if the government of India agrees...
Veena, we cannot believe that the government doesn't understand the sensitivity of the fact that Manipur is a border state. Myanmar is very close by. You have already, the tangle over the line of actual control, how China could take advantage of the prevailing situation. I just refuse to believe that government doesn't understand this. Why are they trying to project themselves as so ignorant, as if things have gone out of hand and they're not able to control?
Absolutely. That's why I'm saying that our government has one of the biggest intelligence agencies. They have the military, they have security, they have high presence. So Nilu, I am with you in saying that the government should be knowing what is happening. That is why I'm saying, is it deliberately engineered to allow, apne ghar mein aag jal raha hai. Will you come with water and douse the fire? Or what is it that you allow your own home to be burnt? You see, this is the question that the mothers of Manipur are asking, that the people of Manipur are asking, that is separation the only answer? It is not, Nilu. This is why we are asking the government of India, this is a national security issue, that the breaking up of Manipur will start the breaking up of northeast of India. It will lead to the balkanization of our country. Nilu, this is a national security issue. As a result, it is incumbent of the government of India to douse the fire now. 53 days.
But Veena, what is wrong with the government's approach? What I'm trying to understand is, from the ground situation, what we are witnessing, the army has been sent, rapid action forces there, Manipur state forces are there. Despite a huge presence of the army, if the things are out of control, which is very clear that the Biren Singh government cannot manage. So what should be the ideal approach of the government? What is the first thing they need to do?
Government of India must get all its agencies to stop the fighting on both sides. Because you remember, Nilu, the way in which violence was engineered of 3rd and May, simultaneously, can you imagine two communities who have never fought with each other in the predominantly Kuki areas in Churachandpur and Imphal Valley, predominantly Meitei area? How come? What a synchronized way of letting these communities inject hate in a span of 24 hours. Who can do that? I know common people in Manipur. Manipur has over 30%, Nilu, below poverty line. It's a very poor state. I have been to hills and valley of Manipur working with women survivors. So people just want to get on with their lives, normal life, children going to school, peace. This is what both Kuki and Meiteis want. But on that particular day, somebody who knows the two regions engineered in two critical areas a conflict which made two of the two communities hate each other, you see. That is not normal, Nilu. And that is why I'm saying that those who have engineered this conflict are people who are close to guns, arms, and political power. They know exactly why they have done that. They may be doing for elections, they may be doing this for whatever the reason. That's why then you must...
What is your hunch? This violence benefits whom? There are the gun runners, there are drug peddlers, there are people who are involved in poppy cultivation. There are a lot of issues in that particular border state. Now, whom does this violence benefit?
Absolutely. So this is why I have written and also spoken at different platforms that democracy in Manipur and Northeast India is not a genuine democracy. It's a democracy at gunpoint. I repeat, democracy at gunpoint. The reason is, for the last several years, we have many of our, like right now, because of the Burma crisis, a lot of drug warlords have shifted its poppy cultivation in the hills of Manipur. That is why the war on drugs, that's why the whole thing. In the past couple of years, but this is not the first time that Manipur and the northeast of India has been, in Manipur and northeast of India is very close, a golden triangle, which produces 6% of the world's heroin. And apparently the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime has also said that the poppy production has doubled since the military coup. So because of the military coup, the Burmese drug warlords who could not produce in Burma have shifted cultivation. And because of the cross-border ethnic ties, a lot of communities in Manipur, also because a lot of people need survival, so they took to poppy cultivation, right? So as a result, and with that money, they have bought guns, they have formed armed groups, and they've also purchased political power. So if Indian media does a proper investigation, look at every person who has been elected to Manipur Assembly and track their linkages with gun running and drug trafficking, you will find the answer yourself. So as a result, what we are seeing in Manipur is a criminalization of our democracy, Nilu. And who is benefiting? To answer your question, these greedy people, those who want to control the drug trade, and with that drug trade, weapons, because they are heavily armed, because they have also, just like Colombia, you know, Nilu, our situation has become like Colombia-like situation, where the men with guns are used to protect the areas which are armed so that they can continue their poppy cultivation. And they in turn have bought political power and are sitting as our netas. This is the problem. This is the problem of what is ailing Manipur and the northeast of India. So it's a larger, and New Delhi knows all this. And that's why, and they have turned a blind eye. As long as they can get their votes, they don't care. So we have been telling for the last 15 years in discussions in New Delhi that please decriminalize our politics. Elect good people in power, men and women both, who can ensure good governance in the most sensitive border state of Manipur.
Veena, doesn't the government realize that if it doesn't control the situation or control the violence, stop all the killings, whatever is happening between the Kuki and the Methi communities, they will end up having a lot of political loss? Don't they realize this? Or they just, as you said, that it's deliberately engineered crisis, which the government wants. But what I'm still failing to understand from whatever you have told me so far is that if there are people involved from the political fraternity into gun running and drug trafficking, what is it going to end like? I mean, like, you have elections in 2024. Manipur is just two Lok Sabha seats. So is the government thinking that we don't have to bother too much because it is just two Lok Sabha seats and allow Northeast to just get rampaged? What is the feeling you're getting?
I think, yes, absolutely. The elections next year cannot be wished away, but you are right, absolutely right. The way in which political participation at the national level has been there are very few members of parliament from Manipur as well as entire Northeast. It itself a problem, Nilu. In the deepening the democracy of this country, they should raise up more. And you're absolutely right, because there are just two Lok Sabha seats and outer constituency seat. Also, there's 1/3 more from the hill area. So this particular area, because it doesn't have much, so the government of India really doesn't bother. But it does matter that the elections are there. I have a feeling that it is the political machination which has turned awry with what is happening. There is ethical, moral bankruptcy going on right now. Otherwise, how would you allow 53 days of burning of one part of your home? So that's why the peace committee was a non-starter, done in a very ingenious way, in which 11 people were told they were not a part of. Even this political, all-party political parties meeting was also like a sham, because there was only one representative from Manipur, the former chief minister, who was only allowed 7 minutes to speak. How you're trying to resolve a very entrenched conflict, which has been going on by only 7 minutes, and that also not in a proper way. So again, the question that we need to ask is, why is the government of India not interested or deliberately made to ensure that the violence in Manipur continues? So I have a feeling that those who have engineered this conflict, they didn't know what would happen. So they are also completely flummoxed right now. There is moral and ethical bankruptcy in their head. There's a Bengali saying, the fish starts rotting from the head. We have a rotten system now in which the head is not able to think properly. So this is why, Nilu, that's why with due respect, yes, the military handed over 12 of these people, armed groups, to the Manipuri Marapabis. But the question we want to ask the military is, why did you do it in the first place? Why did you do it in the first place? And number two, there has been precedents in the past in which the military has...
that this is a humane face of the army. And
I don't believe. No, in a conflict zone, you have to do what is needed. And we have a martial law, so the army should take action as per, so that the situation is calmed down. But by saying this and blaming the mothers of Manipur, wrong, Nilu, this itself is a strategy to delegitimize the brave mothers of Manipur, who during the Thangjam Manorama rape and extrajudicial killing, it was the 12 mothers who came out. It was the mothers of Manipur since the late 1970s that they patrol the streets at night with bamboo torches. Nilu, I have spent time with them. I have worked with them. This is something, a phenomena which I have not seen anywhere in the world. So this strength, this raw courage of the mothers, they're trying to malign it. They will not succeed even that, because the mothers of Manipur realize that they have been abandoned. But they've been abandoned by the state government. They have been abandoned by the central government. So it is the mothers of Manipur, enraged now, who's trying. And again, they are not with any guns, Nilu. Let's remember this. They only wear their fanek, their inafi, and they're out there protesting, asking that this violence must come down. So if the military has handed over, then why blame them? Rather, the government of India and the military must work with the women of both the Meiteis and the Kukis to disarm those who are having arms, so that it could start a genuine peace process, Nilu. But no one is doing that. And rather, they're trying very selectively. Blaming the mothers of Manipur would be the worst thing they would do, because they're the ones who will bring peace. I truly believe, when all hopes have been lost.
But Bina, do you believe that the root cause of all this violence is at the heart of the drug trafficking, poppy cultivation, land? Land is also a huge issue. So are these three the root causes of whatever is happening, and government has just given a blind eye to it? They don't want to resolve the issue?
See, Manipur, Nilu, as I mentioned, is former Asiatic nation state with a very rich history. We gave polo to the world, Ras Leela to the world. We have given Mary Kom to the country and the world. I mean, known for producing the most stellar number of sports persons in the entire country. Let us not forget that the first Olympic medal in the Tokyo Games was won by Mirabai Chanu.
Yes.
So can you imagine this particular state, which has been, a shining example to the entire country? They have destroyed it in the last 4 to 5 weeks. And why they are doing that's why it is very incumbent upon the whole country and the policymakers to wake up that they cannot do this. These tensions were created by the British colonial rule. First of all, Manipur had 3 levels of colonization. First, when Hinduism was introduced, Vaishnavism was introduced in the 18th century. So they converted the valley people predominantly into Vaishnavites, And then in the hill, when the British came, they converted the hill districts into Christians. So there were a divide in religion. And then the British also created a new law, because the British were known for divide and rule. So they had 2 laws to separate Manipur so that they can control. When Indian government came in 1949, rather than ensuring that Manipuri people, because in 1949, it was told in the different documents that they will protect the territorial boundary of Manipur. That's why if you look at the Congress manifesto, the BJP manifesto, they always say, we will protect the territorial integrity of Manipur. So, right now it is, what is happening is, so this is there, the current crisis in which they are saying, oh, Manipur should be separated. How would you feel, Nilu? I would like to ask your viewers, how would you feel if the Kashmiri says we want to be separate? You will not allow, right? If you say Hyderabad wants to be separated or Gujarat wants to be separated from India, aapko kaisa feel hoga? So right now they are trying to cut the arms of Manipur, the legs of Manipur, just a small, beautiful state. Why on earth are you trying to do that, all right? and why the Manipuris are upset. So it is not just about land issue. Nilu, let me answer this by more pointedly for your viewers, that in the northeast of India, there are contested homelands. That's why the external ramification of this conflict must be understood by your viewers. If you remember, in 2001, 18 people in Manipur were shot dead in front of the governor's house for protesting against the extension of the Naga peace talks into Manipur. Okay. Now, the Nagas want a homeland which constitutes of even parts of Manipur, then Burma and Nagaland. The Kukis also want a homeland which constitute parts of Manipur, Mizoram, Burma, and Bangladesh. Please remember this. So they also want, everyone, there are 272 indigenous groups in the northeast of India. Can you imagine, Nilu, if each one of them start demanding their homeland, kya hoga is desh ka? So if the government of India gives in to this demand, it will start a balkanization of the region and the country. If this is what you want, go ahead and do it. And that's why one day when all these guns are down, Nilu, and all these killings have stopped and the fires are doused, you will thank the mothers of Manipur, women like us, women who are asking, and people who are asking for peace, that thank you for protecting the boundary of this country. Right now, it's tutu meme is happening. But one day, when you reflect on this time, you'll remember this program. You'll remember our words. Please do not divide Manipur. Rather, work to ensure that koi bhi grievance hai, let us negotiate. Let us talk it out. Yes, there are grievances in which the value of Manipur, in terms of resources, in terms of medical facilities, roads, they have not developed properly. Now, let us go ahead and develop this. When Amit Shah came, they started the helicopter service from Churachandpur to Imphal, which is a good thing. Let us build more roads. Let us ensure that the history of the Kuki are known to the history, including the history of India, history of Manipur. In that way, when we understand each other, that's how nation building can be done. Nation building, Nilu, cannot be done at gunpoint. It has to be done with a lot of love and care. This has not happened till now, and we're asking this must be done.
But Veena, now Amit Shah, Biren Singh was briefing the reporters today in Imphal, and he was saying that Amit Shah looks very concerned about the evolving situation as to why this violence is spreading from the peripheral areas into the Imphal city now, and many districts are under the grip. Now, by just saying that they are concerned and by not setting a dialogue process in place, do you think the government is really not bothered because it involves the Kuki community? They're just bothered about the Metis because they are a dominant population, and Kukis are a small percentage of the people. So maybe they're not bothered too much about what's happening with the minority community. Is that the feeling you are getting, that the minorities are completely being sidelined, just as in the north we are seeing the way BJP treats the minorities?
Nilu, actually, the government of India and whoever is ruling the center are actually playing a double game with our lives.
Okay.
They're playing a double game. The double game of first of all, pleasing, whoever is in the valley, and on the other hand, continuing to support elements which are so on one hand, the fire is being lit on both sides, and the government knows this, why they are doing it. And now that it's gone out of control, they are concerned, and it is incumbent of them to bring about a solution. That's why I'm saying the fish starts rotting from the head. Let the head decide how to stop the entire organs from getting rotten or getting burned, in this case in Manipur. So they're playing a double game, and this must stop.
The center is playing a double game.
Absolutely. It's absolutely. The center is playing a double game, and we call upon the center not to play double games with the lives of our people in Manipur and across the northeast of India. India needs good governance to become an economic power. It is a national, and as India emerges into a democracy which can be a model for the world, you cannot, pit one ethnic community against the other. You cannot take sides. Rather, you should bring all your power to ensure that these two warring communities, which of course you know how it was engineered, must be stopped.
Is it true, Bina, because you are looking at the situation very, very closely over there, is it true that the atmosphere has been vitiated by the communal overtones? Has the atmosphere been communalized and the matters made worse through social media? This is what all I'm reading. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You know, I have been attacked viciously online since the conflict started for asking for peace of both communities. Been attacked viciously for taking a neutral stand, for saying that peace must return, the conflict should stop, the arms must be laid down. Can you imagine someone who's talking about peace is attacked? What does it mean? You know, I'm not talking about one or two attacks, thousands. It pains my heart. But right now, we are not saying anything because I know these are misguided elements. There are troll armies. So the conflict is not going just only on the ground level, but it is also online. There are online trolls, specially created. Online trolls created to vitiate the atmosphere. And the Indian media also, rather than understanding what is happening, are listening to a group which has now got the most trolls, the most access to the media. And they are also giving one dimension of the conflict without understanding the holistic conflict. As a result, it has further vitiated the atmosphere. And as a result, you are made to feel as if there can be no commonality. But by the way, can you imagine? That's why I've said, try to separate the hills from the valley, from the rivers and the lakes. Can you separate the air from the mountains? Separate people. We are one community. We have been living together for centuries, for the last many, many years and decades. And so we are extremely pained by the engineering of this hate between us, but we also know deep in our hearts, the resilience of a human spirit is so strong, Nilu, that we will overcome this darkest time in Manipuri history. We will overcome this.
But Bina, normally whenever a crisis evolves, we've seen that BJP tries and changes the leadership, changes the chief ministers. Especially during elections, they realize if the chief minister has not been working, they immediately change the leadership. But why has it not been happening in Manipur? Why are the stakes so high with Biren Singh? And why cannot Prime Minister Narendra Modi or Home Minister Amit Shah not ask Biren Singh to step down? That's the simplest thing they can do. If he has failed miserably in tackling the law and order, he should be asked to step down. Why have they kept silent over it? What are the reasons?
Maybe it's deliberate that he remains in power. So the anger.
But if it's deliberate, then he must be serving some interests.
Yes, absolutely.
What could be those interests?
Interest is to anger the other community so that the conflict continues. This conflict is benefiting someone.
But is it because Biren Singh has a lot of support of the majority MLAs, and that is the reason central government fears?
He doesn't have a majority. In fact, many of his own ministers have revolted.
So you think he doesn't have too much of support?
That is why I'm saying you have to ask, some of the Indian journalists must ask the Home Minister, they should ask the National Security Advisory Board, they should ask the National Security Advisor and the Prime Minister as to why they're allowing this conflict to simmer and stop playing with the lives of Manipuris. It's deliberate.
Prime Minister landed from US, Egypt. Egypt was the second country where he went, and he landed late last night. And the first question he asked Mr. JP Nadda was that Bharat mein kya haal hai? Now, everybody was saying that he should have asked a question on Manipur. Do you think he's going to take some action? Because after the all-party meeting and whatever briefing Amit Shah has made to him today, are you hopeful that there's going to be some kind of an amicable solution to the problem?
An amicable solution to the problem and the return of peace in Manipur is what everyone is yearning for. It's been 53 days non-stop where people haven't slept, their homes have been burned, displaced, people having lost loved ones. And the silence of the Prime Minister, as I mentioned, has hurt everyone all across the state, not just the Meiteis and the Kukis, but the silence of the Prime Minister has hurt the entire country. And as I mentioned, that his silence for us is complicit. I have said that his Man Ki Baat has become Maut Ki Baat for us. His silence has resulted in more deaths and killings. And as a result, the more he, now that he's returned back to the country, I hope he huddles up with his advisors and work towards an amicable solution for Manipur. If not, he will be living with this dark all his lives. It is, as I said, the violence in Manipur, which erupted on 3rd of May, is the darkest time in the history of Manipur. Nobody has been subjected to this kind of virulent, violent communal attack in the history of Manipur. Manipur is like a mini India where all religion, all communities have been coexisting for centuries. And so for us, the destruction of this beautiful fabric of our state, engineered by men who are connected with guns, drugs, and political power, they themselves must know what they are doing, and they must realize that what they try to engineer have failed, because the people of Manipur are rising up now, and we will protect our democracy, we will protect our boundaries. And the better the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers realize this, it's better for them.
So what do you think that the people could do if the political class is not rising, it is silent, it is allowing the situation to fester? In what way are the people going to react? Because we've seen that how the houses of the BJP leaders were burned down, they were gutted down, and still the BJP leaders feel very, very insecure, but they are not bothered as to what the people of Manipur are thinking. So to what you said, that the amicable solution, are you hopeful of an amicable solution then?
I told you that India, this is not the first time violence has broken out in the history of India. And more people have died in the Gujarat riots and in the Delhi riots and other riots than what has happened tragically in my state. So we are hopeful that an amicable solution can be brought about. And again, this will require, it will require very sincere efforts on the part of everyone to do this. And the question is, who is sincere enough to start this process is a question. Who is sincere enough? Who are the credible leaders out there? Who are the credible people out there? So it will take time.
You have in mind any names you have in mind when you say credible leaders?
Absolutely. Northeast of India has such credible. Niketu Iralu, the Naga leader. Jarjum Ite from Arunachal Pradesh. She is one of the most amazing women leaders the country should be proud of. But women, they are not even allowed, they're not even, given the seat to contest elections. Can you imagine? So Nilu, as a woman, let me also tell you, the absence of women in political decision-making is also leading to the rot in Manipur and in the entire country. Let me be very clear. Had women been in positions of power in Manipur and northeast of India, we would not have this kind of vicious politics that we are seeing played out with men with guns killing each other. So I think it's very important that we ensure, and we have extreme faith, and then we have people like, Ima Rose Mangsi, who's an amazing Kuki women leader. We have Ije Panti Gonmai, Ima Laurembam Nganbi, who was one of the protesters when Thangjaman Roma was killed. And we had the Naga Mothers Associations, the Kuki Mothers Association, and we have incredible women leaders in India, some of the leaders. Where is Vandana Shiva? Where is Brinda Karad? Where is, all these women leaders of the country? Where are they? So I think it's time for us not to leave the issue of solving this only to the people of Manipur and the women of Manipur, that the women of country and any like-minded citizen of India who is aggrieved like us. And I would like to thank each and everyone who have sent your love and pain. It took a violence to shake India up. That's why for us, let this be a new beginning. Let this be a new beginning to understand each other as equal citizens of an equal country. And so for peace to return in our homes, in our hearts, in our communities.
One last question, Bina, before I wind up, that people have been saying that if there is a presidential rule over there, then things might improve. Do you believe so?
Nilu, the president of India was not even invited in the inauguration of the new parliament building, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
The president of India is just a figurehead. I have deep respect for our president, who is a tribal woman and who has been, I'm so proud when she was elected to office. But you and I know that these are just rubber stamp figureheads. The real power in the country rests with the prime minister and the council of ministers.
You are saying that there is no meaning of a president rule in...
I don't think so, no. Because when the president itself is just a rubberhead, you know, it's like, how can he? So that is why the onus, I once again put it, that it depends on the prime minister, defense minister, all those people who are running India right now, for them to sit together and find a solution to this. So the president's rule is not going to help, because they are just tokens. The governor is right there sitting in Manipur, and she's a woman too. You know, but you know, it is this I don't see any sliver of hope in a president's rule. Yeah,
it's really a chilling account after listening to you, but unfortunate is the word I could use as to whatever is happening. You please keep safe, Bina. I'm really concerned about your safety as well, looking at the fact that anybody is killing anyone in Manipur right now. So please stay safe and stay connected as much as you can. Thank you so much for joining on the Federal and sharing your angst and your pain. And I just hope and I wish that things improve for Manipur and things get better for you all. Stay up with your strength. Wish you all the best. And the viewers who are watching this interview, please subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you, Bina. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.